Hi everybody, welcome back. This video I'm going to be focusing on restoring the front and rear suspension of the 69 Camaro Z28. So the first thing I have to explain is that here's all the parts and pieces to it as I took them off the car. So one thing I have to explain, though, is that the body shop that I've got the car at right now is closed for the lockdown, and I have got to get the car out of that shop as soon as possible. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically just kind of going through and preparing all of the parts and pieces of the suspension ready for so that I can just get them painted and back on the car so that I can roll the car back to my own shop. And so I'm not taking the entire suspension completely apart at this point to rebuild it, which I will be doing in a future video. But in the meantime, as you can see here, I'm painstakingly going around and scraping and sanding and cleaning and everything, all the dirt and 50-year-old dirt and grime and grease and everything else off the parts and pieces. And it was a long, tedious project, but it actually turned out pretty good. And I'm just rattle canning everything. Just again so that I can get it back on the car and get the car back to my own shop. So, but actually, as you will see here, it turned out pretty nice. So the part of the front subframe here that I'm doing that bolts up to the car will look completely finished when I'm done, and I should not have to remove the subframe from the car when I rebuild the front suspension. So again, as you will see, it turned out really, really nice. And I discovered a new paint that I'm using that I got at Napa Auto Parts called Chassis Black. And it's a special paint just made for chassis painting here. And it's got the correct 30% semi-gloss that Chevrolet painted the subframe with originally. So it turned out really, really nice, which you'll see here coming up. And again, this video is sped up quite a bit because, I mean, I literally spent 3 days detailing this whole front subframe and suspension. But as you can see, the result turned out very, very nice. And as I mentioned before, when I get the car back to my own shop, then I'll disassemble the upper and lower control arms and replace all the bushings and all of that. And the brake lines and everything I'll be detailing and restoring. So here's the rear differential. And again, I'm doing the same thing here. I'm going to rebuild the gears and everything, the axles and the seals and all of that after I get the car back to my own shop. But the axle housing and everything will be completed and have the final paint on it and so on. Then it's just a matter of detailing with labels and stickers and all of that. And I went through the same process with this as I did the front, scraping, sanding, everything. I'm right at this point. I'm washing it down with my solvent to get all the grease and grime off of there. And then after I do this, I'll pressure wash it. And it really wasn't that bad. It was just light grime and grease. Really not that bad. And then after I cleaned it with the solvent, I took it out and pressure washed it. Got it completely clean and ready for paint. And here's the transmission cross member doing the same thing too. And then I pulled it into the paint booth and again just rattle canned it. I did that mainly because I really did not want to use the air sprayer because I wanted to kind of surgically paint the areas that I wanted painted. And again, I used the same 30% semi-gloss that the factory used. And I know some of you are probably going to leave, nasty comments about me rattle canning it, but I tell you, I would put this up against any air gun paint job, as you will see. It turned out just perfect. And here's the end result. And as you can see, it turned out beautiful. So I'm very happy with the result. And like the front suspension, when I get it back to my own shop, then I will rebuild the brakes and, restore all of those. So here are all the new parts that I have to install the rear end, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the car, I believe that the car came from the factory with the 5 leaf springs, which I know Z's are only supposed to have 4. But those leaf springs that I took off of there don't look like they've ever been off the car. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they had been replaced in the past. But I am putting a brand new set of the correct Z28 4 leaf springs back on the car just to make it correct. So, and I got these from Heartbeat City, which have just perfect reproductions of those leaf springs. So very happy with those. So in this segment of the video, I'm kind of showing, not in real time, reattaching the front and rear suspension. And I'm just going to kind of gloss over the connectors. So here are the new bushings. And these are the exact replicas of the original GM with the fused in hardware onto the rubber. And these are just very, very nice original, as original OEM. Same with the bolts and the nuts and everything. They tried to get the correct markings on there. So when you put the, I'm putting in the core support bushings right now, and you just kind of put the thick part in first, and then the mating piece on top, and then the bolt and the nut. And I like to put the core support in as well because it helps line up, square off the subframe once it's all bolted in. You want to kind of bolt it in loosely, and then you have to go through the measuring and get it all squared off properly. And I'll be covering that in probably the next video. So here's the core support all bolted in, and again I leave it loose so that I can adjust it properly when I install the front fenders. And then same thing on the bushings. You know, you put the hard washer down against the subframe, and then you put the mating from the bottom, and then run the bolt up through, and it screws into the bottom of the body, just like that. This is really, really nice hardware. And you want to get the assembly line correct bushings and hardware, because it'll be exactly like it was from the factory. And you'll notice that I'm doing all of this by myself. So, you know, because the shop is closed right now. So I'm there by myself doing this. So it might help you guys if you're just by yourself. Now, I had the advantage of having the lift, which really makes a big difference. I don't think that I would have been able to do it by myself without the lift, because the lift just worth its weight in gold in this situation. But I was able to do it by myself. But again, it was a little more challenging, a little more difficult, but the lift made all the difference in the world. So then here's the front end all bolted up. And obviously, when I rebuild the front suspension, then I'll realign the wheels and so on, because they're a little cockeyed right now. And then same thing in the back. You know, I'm by myself, so, you know, you have to do certain things to kind of help you along there with jack stands and so on. And then again, the lift made all the difference in the world. So, and these U-bolts, you know, you always have to make sure that the U-bolt goes on the outside set of holes, and then the little studs on the inside. And then again, being by myself, I had to use a floor jack to raise up the leaf springs and bolt them in place. And there again, I kind of left them on the loose side so that they can be adjusted once I get them in place, and then tighten everything up at once. And again, in this case, the lift just makes all the difference in the world. You just kind of position it in place and lower the car down. Sorry about the lighting in this shot. It's a little dark. Then once you get everything lined up and the bolts lined up, you want to kind of like hand tighten them first, just like I show on my motorcycle videos, where you want to hand tighten the bolts first, just to make sure that they're not cross-threading and they're going in straight. And I tighten them up enough to get them secure, but again, I have to square all of this off when we put the car on the alignment machine. But as you can see, it all looks very nice underneath the car now. And now the car is back on its wheels and a roller. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video. In the next video, I'll be installing the steering column and the new steering wheel, so that we can move the car around. And then after that, I will be doing a video on installing the fenders and the hood and lining everything up so that we can get the stripes painted on. So, as usual, thank you so much for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps support the channel takes a lot of effort and time to produce these videos, and I really appreciate all of the support. So again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.